Welcome back to the deep dive, everybody. It really is a genuine pleasure to have y'all join us today.
It sure is. And we want to give a special thank you to all the folks listening in Overton County, Tennessee.
Yeah, maybe you're driving near Standing Stone this morning or just having a quiet moment before the day gets going.
Well, today we're kind of peeling back the layers on some really powerful stuff. Reflections about getting older, about who we really are deep down.
Yeah, we've been looking at the journey of a spiritual teacher, someone who really wrestled with how the world tries to tell you who you are.
Exactly. And our mission here, is to take these hard-won insights he found over decades and sort of look at them through the lens of eternal truth. See how they square up with the faith, with the scriptures we hold dear here.
We're trying to get beneath the surface, find those nuggets of wisdom about living with purpose, living in the light.
That's it.
Yeah.
And what's really central here, I think, is this tension
What tension is that?
between who we truly are, in the spirit, and who the world needs us to be, just for its own convenience, seems like.
Oh, yeah. Like the world tries to put a coat on you that just doesn't fit right.
That's a good way to put it. It
Yeah.
really comes down to this. Are you going to let your identity be shaped by fleeting time and opinions? Or by the light of the eternal, by who God says you are? And resisting that world shaping, that's where the real deep spiritual work starts, I reckon.
Okay, let's unpack that. This fellow we're learning from, he starts with something kind of small, doesn't he? A train ride.
Yeah, just a simple train ride, Westport to New York. He's feeling pretty peaceful, looking out at the fall leaves. Beautiful day.
Right, and then the conductor comes by.
Asks for his ticket.
Yeah.
And the question was just regular or senior.
And that word, senior, it just hit him sideways, didn't it?
Oh, immediately.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the discount, not really. It was being put in a category.
A box.
Exactly. A box labeled maybe irrelevant or frail or, somebody needs help, a problem.
He said he felt like he was paying way more than the ticket price just by accepting that label. Like wearing a coat that it plain didn't fit how he felt inside.
And that brings up that incredible story he tells about Zoomback the tailor. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Powerful analogy. Tell folks about that.
Well, imagine a fellow orders a suit, right?
Yeah.
Goes to try it on, and it's all wrong. Shoulders hanging low, lines crooked.
Yeah.
Just a mess.
Okay, so the tailor fixes it.
See, that's the thing. Zoomback doesn't fix the suit. Instead, he tells the man, okay, push your shoulder down, way down. Now tilt your head over here. Slump a little.
He makes the man fit the suit.
Precisely. Forces him to twist himself up, get all contorted, and then the suit hangs perfect.
Yeah.
But the man's walking around crippled, barely drawing breath. And folks on the street, they don't blame the suit, do they?
No, they probably say.
They say, my, look at that. Only Zoomback could fit such a crippled body so well. They admire the tailor for making a suit fit a broken man.
Wow, that hits hard. We twist our real selves to fit these labels society puts on us.
That's the big insight he had. He felt like he was sliding down into an ooze of cultural conspiracy to define reality. And think about the labels thrown at older folks.
Right. For the economy, they're seen as a
disaster, a drain. For gerontology, the study of aging, they're often just a problem to be managed.
And for advertisers.
Just another consumer demographic to target,
It's like looking in a funhouse mirror. Nothing looks like the real you. But hang on. Aren't some labels useful sometimes? Like maybe senior helps make sure folks get the right health care or something.
Well, sure, they can offer structure, that's true. But the danger comes when you swallow them whole. When you let them become your identity, seep into your soul.
Okay.
And that's exactly where our faith gives us the anchor, the antidote. Think about what Paul tells us in Romans chapter 12, verse 2.
Remind us.
Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Not conformed, transformed. That's the command right there. Renewal from the inside out.
That's it. Transformation, not just going along to get along with the world's labels.
So if the world's constantly throwing these labels, these ill-fitting coats at us, how do you build up that inner strength, that renewed mind Paul talks about? How do you just ignore them?
Well, this teacher, his path was real intentional. He said for 30 years, his main focus, his practice, was cultivating his spiritual life, his consciousness.
30 years, that's dedication.
It is.
Yeah.
And he did it specifically to avoid becoming, in his words, an obscene caricature shaped by what culture feared about aging.
And what did that long practice lead him to?
It led him to this deep bedrock conviction. Who I am will not die. The core of him, the spirit, is eternal.
That sounds wonderful, powerful. But he also said this, let him live on two planes of consciousness, something like in time and not in time.
Yeah, in space and not in space.
Okay, for somebody, maybe trying to balance the checkbook down your Livingston or worrying about the farm, what does that feel like? Living on two planes sounds kind of out there.
That's a fair question. It's not as strange as it sounds, maybe. Think of it like being, the scripture in the world, but not of the world.
Okay, I know that one.
Right. So your body, the bills you got to pay, the calendar on the wall, that's the plane in time.
Mm-hmm.
It's real. You got to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Tend to the here and now.
But your awareness, your spirit, who you really are in Christ, that part rests secure in the plane, not in time. It's anchored in the eternal promise, the reality that was here before time started and will be here after it ends.
So you handle your daily duties, but you don't let them define your soul.
You got it. You honor the temporal without letting it hijack the eternal self. It brings a different kind of peace to the everyday grind, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. Now, he shared another key story, something pivotal from India, with his guru, Maharaji.
Ah, yes. He went to his teacher looking for guidance, deep spiritual instruction. And the guru looked at him and just gave him one simple command.
Which was?
Ramdas speaks only about God.
Only about God. Wow, how do you even do that? How do you talk about, the price of feed or a disagreement with a neighbor or planning for retirement and only speak about God?
Oh, that's the challenge, isn't it? That's the practice right there in the midst of life. It means, I reckon, that no matter what the surface topic is, the argument, the business deal, the aging parent, the undercurrent, the ultimate context has got to be the divine reality. Remembering God in all things.
So it's about the awareness behind the words.
Exactly. He said he tried to design his life to move towards truth. Not truth as some idea in your head,
right,
but truth as something you just are, something you embody. And here's the kicker. Those times he got stuck.
Yeah.
Caught up in his own story, his ego, his fears.
We all do that.
Sure we do. But instead of seeing it as failure, he saw those moments as fires of purification. The mess-ups became the very fuel for getting closer to God.
That really shifts how you look at struggles, doesn't it? It kind of raises a question for all of us, I suppose, when trouble hits.
Yeah.
Are we seeing it just as a roadblock, something terrible that's interrupting our plans? Or could we see it as curriculum?
Curriculum, that's the word he used. That's the huge shift right there. He argued that an illness or being bone-tired or any kind of suffering, it suddenly becomes curriculum, not just, oh, this awful thing happened to me.
It's the place where you learn, where you grow.
It's the place where you can actually experience grace by working with the pain, not just fighting it or feeling sorry for yourself. That struggle, that pain, when met with awareness and faith, becomes the very path toward purification, not just something to get over.
That's deep. He tied this into how we view death, too, right?
He did. He pointed out how, over the last century or so, birth became this big public celebration. Showers, announcements, all that.
Yeah.
But death got shoved in a closet, hidden away in hospitals, often treated by the medical world almost like a failure of technology instead of a natural part of life.
In groups like hospice, they had to work so hard just to make it, quote, okay to die, to bring dignity back.
That's right. And he told that powerful story from Benares in India, the holy city on the Ganges.
I remember reading that. It was intense.
When he first went, years earlier, he saw all the suffering, the dying beggars, the funeral pyres right there. And he was just horrified. Understandably, from our Western view.
Right. This was overwhelming.
But when he went back, something had shifted in him. He'd done more spiritual work. And he looked at the local people looking back at him.
Yeah.
And he realized they were looking at him with pity.
Pity? Why on earth?
Because in their reality, in their deep spiritual understanding, the absolute greatest thing that could happen to you was to die right there in that sacred place. It was like dying in the arms of God.
Wow.
So his perspective, our usual Western focus on comfort, control, avoiding pain at all costs, that was seen as spiritual poverty compared to their readiness, their acceptance of life's full cycle, including death.
That really flips the script on what we think is valuable, what true wealth is.
It sure does. And bringing it back home, back to our modern lives, he pointed out another challenge we face, especially as folks age. Feeling irrelevant.
Yeah, talk about that.
Well, in traditional societies, often the elders were the keepers of wisdom, right? They held the history, the skills, the guidance for the community.
Respected.
But in our world, where what's valued is constantly changing information, the next bit of technology, the next trend, elders can start to feel kind of useless. irrelevant.
Yeah.
Unless, they can figure out the newest gadget or software update.
It's like knowledge has a shorter shelf life now.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And you feel this ties into something else we've lost. How our focus on individuality and individualism.
Which sounds good on the surface.
Right. Sounds like freedom. But he said it caused us to sacrifice community so grievously. We traded away the support, the wisdom, the rootedness of the extended family.
For what?
For the sort of affluent dream, he called it. Living alone or just with your spouse in your own place. We bought space, maybe, but we sold off connection. Security, even.
But isn't it often right there, in the thick of family relationships, even the messy ones, that the biggest spiritual lessons come?
Oh, absolutely. And he shared such a moving example of that from his own life. Spending the last 8 years of his father's life helping oversee his care.
Yeah, that was powerful. He ended up
Reversing roles completely, even changing his father's diapers near the end.
And what struck me was how that act of caring, it wasn't a burden in his telling, it became something else.
It became a divine practice. He described this beautiful moment watching a sunset with his dad. And his father, who used to be this, important railroad executive, he wasn't that anymore.
He'd let it go.
He'd let go of the need to be who he used to be. He was just there,
Yeah.
smiling, present. His father had, as he put it, let go of his personal history.
But not everyone could handle that change, right? His brother and aunt came to visit.
And they were miserable because they were stuck. They kept trying to relate to the man their father used to be, the executive, the strong figure.
Yeah.
They couldn't just be present with the quiet, smiling man sitting there now. They were grieving a past that was gone instead of embracing the present being.
While the father himself was at peace.
Completely. And for the son, the caregiver, that whole experience, the service, the presence, the diapers, all of it, that became his spiritual practice for remembering God.
Wow.
In the end, he said, it wasn't about father and son anymore. It was just two beings being together, stripped of all the old roles and stories, just presence.
Goodness. So if we take all these incredible insights
Yeah.
about identity, about being present, about letting go, what's the actual work? What did he suggest we do, like, today, right now?
Well, he described his current practice, the work he was doing then, as kind of twofold. But it all centers on being right here, right now, in your awareness.
Okay. What's the first part?
First, he called it enfolding the past. Now, this isn't about wallowing in old regrets or hurts. No. It's about refusing to leave those old issues, those neuroses, those patterns locked away back there with who I was then. You got to bring them forward.
Bring them into the present. How does that help?
You bring the memory, the shame, the old anger, whatever it is. You bring it into your present awareness, and you look at it gently, mindfully, without judgment. You accept it as part of the whole story that brought you to this moment.
So you don't push it away, you don't ignore it, you kind of embrace it as part of the journey.
You let the light of your present awareness, that eternal part of you, shine on it. And in that light, its power to haunt you starts to dissolve. You see it, you acknowledge it, but it doesn't define you anymore.
Okay. Enfolding the past.
Yeah.
Got it. What's the second part?
The second part is folding the future.
Folding the future. What does that mean?
It means looking square at the things that scare you most about what's coming. The big fears.
Like getting sick, losing control, death itself.
Exactly. Dependency, dementia, loss. All those things that whisper fear in our ears about tomorrow. Folding the future means consciously turning towards those fears, not running from them.
How do you do that without getting overwhelmed?
With compassionate mindfulness, he said. You approach the idea of future suffering with the same gentle, non-judgmental awareness you bring to past hurts. You acknowledge the fear, but you don't let it become your reality now.
That sounds like real faith in action. Standing face to face with the terror of what might happen, but trust in something deeper.
Trust in the spirit within you. Trust in that presence to meet you when the time comes, if the time comes.
Yeah.
He realized that most fear is just generated by these flimsy ideas, these trivial concepts we build up about the future. His ultimate state boiled down to this: I could trust my awareness.
Trust the awareness itself.
Trust that the inner spirit, the Christ within you, is strong enough to whisper, okay, when the next pain comes, when the challenge arrives, here we'll be, together, me and you, and we'll embrace it, and we'll work with it.
We won't face it alone.
Never alone. The spirit is strong enough to handle whatever life throws your way, if you stay rooted, right here, present, in the eternal now.
Ooh, Okay, so let's try and wrap our minds around this. What's the main takeaway for us? What does all this mean for folks listening?
Well, I reckon this whole journey, this deep dive, it teaches us that the most important spiritual work we can do, whatever name we put on it, whatever tradition we follow, it really boils down to just being present
Being right here, right now.
and trusting. Trust in that eternal core, that soul that God gave you, that part that doesn't die. It means actively and consciously folding the past regrets and the future fears into this present moment.
Because the present is where God is.
It's the only place reality truly exists. It's about choosing to live your life guided by that eternal light instead of living in the shadows of what society or your own ego tries to tell you you are.
Okay, that's powerful. So how about a challenge then? Something practical for folks right here in our community.
All right, here's a thought. Think about just one little corner of your life. Could be anywhere. Maybe it's a worry you keep churning over about money. Or maybe it's a judgment you're holding on to about a neighbor down near Rickman, something they did or didn't do.
Okay, got something in mind.
Find one spot where, deep down you're letting the world or your own habits or your fears kind of define the whole situation, where you're wearing that ill-fitting coat. And just take a minute this week. Ask yourself honestly, what would it look like if I chose right there in that situation to act or even just to think as if I were only speaking about God? How would my perspective shift?
What if the ultimate reality was the only reality in that moment?
Yeah, just try it. Commit to cultivating that quiet witness, that little spark of eternal presence right there in that one tricky spot this week. See what happens.
That's a good challenge, a real one. Well, friends, we genuinely hope this deep dive into looking at life through the lens of eternal wisdom has brought y'all some clarity, maybe a little peace today.
We sure hope so.
And if you appreciate us sifting through these kinds of teachings and trying to connect them to our faith and our lives here, well, we'd be honored if you'd join the family. Go ahead and like, comment, maybe subscribe so you don't miss the next time we dive deep together.
And as we close out today, we just want to offer up a heartfelt prayer. A prayer for grace, for true presence, and for that deep, abiding, eternal peace for every single soul searching for understanding on this earth.
Amen to that. And we send a special blessing out to all y'all listening right here in Overton County, Tennessee. May you feel that peace today.